Thank you for that, Robin. I didn't realize y'all couldn't hear me. That's somewhat irritating. I'll just leave myself up here on stage so y'all can hear me from now on. And I guess I'll have to start over. Can you hear me now, Robin? I Can you hear me? Okay, good. All right, so I'll start over here. So this is my list of 27 or so of the most important facts in the world. I created this list because the world is drowning in misinformation, and that has a lot. There's a lot of reasons why that's the case. Part of it is that disinformation is more sensational, and so people are more likely to click on it and share it, so it can be lucrative. And part of it is that a lot of good information is gate kept in colleges and universities. There's a lot of reasons why there's so much misinformation and disinformation out there, and that is the reason why I have this list. I talked about it a little more when you guys couldn't hear me, but that's the gist of what I said. So what I was saying before I realized you couldn't hear me. So this is my philosophy as somebody who studies and shares science and information with the world in the form of a YouTube channel, a social media channel where I can hopefully get some good information to people's ears. I am what's called a borderline naive scientific realist. That means electrons are real, atoms are real, gravity is real. All the things that science explains for us that we can't see with our eyes or touch with our hands, those are all real things. It's just they are beyond our human perception. That's basically what it means to be a naive scientific realist. And I am like one step below that. I would say I'm borderline naive scientific realist, as opposed to a scientific anti-realist, which is a slightly more skeptical position. It's almost unjustifiably skeptical in my viewpoint, which is why I don't subscribe to it. But there are people who subscribe to it. So I'm a scientific realist. I am a methodological naturalist. That means when I come at a scientific problem, my assumption is going to be that there's going to be a naturalistic answer to whatever that scientific problem is. I'm not going to incorporate Thor or Buddha or Vishnu or Yahweh or any unseeable, unmeasurable, unfalsifiable spiritual entity into my calculations on scientific problems. So I'm a scientific realist, a methodological naturalist. I'm also an atheist. I do not believe in any deity or deities, no god, no goddess, no gods and goddesses, none of that. I have a thirst for knowledge about the world, and theism seems contrary to that to me. So I do not believe in any deities. I do not use deities to settle any questions in my mind. And that is part of what has led me to this philosophy that has had me put this list together. So, atheist, scientific realist, methodological naturalist. And I believe the reason these are my philosophical viewpoints is because after 34 years of existence, the best, bar none, methods I found to believing as many true and as few untrue things as possible is uh, philosophically and logically valid and sound ontology, epistemology, and axiology, and the scientific method. And it's best when you can support either of those things with facts, percentages, statistics, data, repeatable observations, the things we typically refer to as empirical evidence. Oh, I didn't forget it, Robin. It's on the second half of the list. There's 27 here. Earth is not flat is number 14. We'll get to it, trust me. And so after 34 years, I found that the scientific method and logically valid and sound ontology, epistemology, axiology, best way to go. And then a good third place is to do your best to understand better every day exactly what it means to be wise, and then to actually do those things. And so those are my methods, and that is how I have come to this belief of this list of facts that I've put together for you today. And I'm very confident in this list of facts, but I'm almost certain you're likely to see something you disagree with, or that might make you feel a little angry. This is the only bluntness warning you're going to get. If anything here upsets you, I hope it's in a good way, and it's a way that agitates your thinking and activates your brain and maybe helps you sharpen your wisdom a little bit. So let's just go over the list. First of all, 27 or so of the most important facts in the world. And a lot of these facts will seem really obvious to a lot of people, but I can guarantee you there are plethoras of adults who do not know or do not accept that these are facts. That's fair, Phantom. I have this isn't I wouldn't these are 27 of the most important facts in the world because so many people do not know them or do not accept them. That is what makes them more important. But I have tried to categorize them in an order that puts them in order of relatedness and how harmful they are, how harmful it is for people to not know about them. So the first item on the list, the Holocaust or whatever other genocide you're denying, it most likely happened. So people deny a variety of holocausts. We'll get more into this after we go over the list. Obviously, they deny the big one, the Holocaust of people of Jewish ancestry in Germany. That's a big one that people deny, but they deny other ones. They deny the Holocaust that's happening in Gaza right now. They deny the Holocaust happening in Ukraine. They deny Holocausts of people in China and in Armenia and all over the place. People are denying the fact that sometimes groups of humans decide they're superior to other groups of humans and try to eradicate those groups. So that's fact number one. Fact number two, vaccines work. This is a very important fact. Not knowing this fact could cost you your life. It could also cost the life of babies and children that are in your orbit because they are some of the most vulnerable immune system wise people in the human population. So the way that your immune system works is you have these things in your cells called leukocytes, and those are memory cells, your T and B cells. They start off as naive before they've experienced a disease, and then after they've experienced a disease, they become active and they can actively protect you from infections and illnesses. But because kids and babies are young and haven't experienced as many pathogen inversions, they have less memory cells than most any other age group. And this is why they are one of the age groups that are most likely to get sick and to have serious side effects or even die from an illness. So this is why this is listed as number two here. It's that vaccines work. Definitely one of the most important facts, and one of the ones that there's the largest number of people not accepting this fact. There's probably around 60 million, with an M, 60 million people who are not only anti-vaccine, but anti-vaccine enough that they're vocal about it on the internet. The CCDH, the Council for Countering Digital Hate, they did a study and discovered thousands and thousands of verifiable individuals who reject vaccines vocally on the internet, and millions of accounts for people rejecting it. Now, a lot of those accounts are probably from bot networks. There's post-bot networks that are paid like $2 to $4 a day per post or something like that. There's a rate. It's a very low rate. They get paid a low amount to push out large amounts of disinformation using sock puppet, astroturfing, bot posting accounts on social media networks like Facebook and Twitter and all TikTok and all that. But there is a ton of people, legitimate, real people, who do not accept the fact that vaccines work. If we hook up an electric generator to Edward Jenner's grave, I imagine he's spinning fast enough to power several small cities. So vaccines work. They were life-saving innovation. Inoculation has single-handedly saved millions, if not hundreds of millions of lives, and we'll get more into that. This list item number 3, the germ theory of disease is true. This mostly ties to item number 2. I have yet to meet anybody who is denying that the germ theory of disease is true, who is not also vehemently anti-vaccine. This is like a really extreme anti-vaccine position, is the people who are denying that the germ theory of disease is true. What the germ theory of disease is, if you don't know, it was discovered by Louis Pasteur. It used to be believed that things like diseases came from spectral causes, that there were ghosts or curses or bad energy or all these mystical causes for disease. And we also used to think that things like tadpoles and moss and mold, things that seem to grow out of nowhere, that those spontaneously generated. So the germ theory of disease ended up striking down both of those beliefs. It was discovered by Louis Pasteur when he took gravy. He took a pot of gravy and he boiled it, and he put some of the gravy in an unsealed flask after boiling it, and he put the other part of the gravy into a sealed flask after boiling it. And after a couple of weeks, the unsealed flask of gravy that had all the microbes removed by boiling, it had grown new microbes. New microbes have gotten in through the air, and it had mold and fungus on it, like you would expect from some unclosed gravy that you left in your refrigerator or out on your counter or something, right? But the sealed flask of gravy had none of that. It didn't have the mold and fungus on it, and it substantiated his idea that there were invisible things so small you couldn't even see them, and that these were actually the living things that were spreading this mold and fungus and things like that. And that proved his germ theory of disease, and it helped us figure out that diseases, the illnesses and sicknesses, are caused by these microscopic things that you can't see with your eyes sometimes. And eventually Hooke, I think it was Robert Hooke, created the microscope, and we were able to actually start seeing them with our eyes, and it further validated the germ theory of disease. Part of the reason it's so hard to deny the germ theory of disease is because they are actually visible now. You can use a tool to look at them, and it makes it really kind of almost insane to deny. But there are many things on this list that it is insane to deny, and lots of people deny them anyways. So the germ theory of disease, this one, number 4, climate change is real and it's happening because of humans. This is one of the most controversial facts on the list, and it is definitely also one of the most important. It is extremely important that climate change is happening, and it's happening because of human behavior, because it is causing a rapid plummet in biodiversity. We are losing an immense number of species because we are messing with the ecosystem by producing so much chlorofluorocarbons and other industrial runoffs. There's several causes. Industrial agriculture is one. The enormous number of automobiles on the planet that are producing chlorofluorocarbons is another. Aerosol sprays, or all of these things contribute to each other. And with the size of the human population, contribute to the problem rather. And with the size of the human population, there's several contributors, and with how many people there are, yes, it's not controversial amongst experts, right? And it's really easy to see why there's so much disinformation about this. Regulations cost money. They cost money to settle, and they cost money to implement, and they cost money to adhere to. And so a lot of people would rather they not have regulations for their industries, which oil is an important industry. It is used in vehicles, it's used in plastics, it's used in a lot of stuff. And our system would probably have to change a lot if we wanted to reduce our reliance on it. I think some people are ready to have that conversation, but a lot of people aren't. So that's item 4. And you're probably starting to see, yeah, I could do an entire video on every item in this list. And that was part of why it was so convenient to organize it into a list. Number 5, and this is going to be a tough one too, because I have older family members that don't accept this fact. The US Civil War was over slavery. And I can already hear some people tightening up and getting ready to resist that, and getting ready to say something about states' rights or some equivalent talking point. The simple fact is, when the South seceded from the Union, they created documents stating their grievances and the reasons for their secession. In those documents, their declarations of secession, they overtly, explicitly name slavery as the reason why. And we'll go over specific quotes from these documents that make it extremely undeniable that slavery was the main gripe. The states' right arguments, the states' right that they were fighting for was the right to own slaves. And that's true with like pretty much all of the other arguments people make about it. They'll say, oh, there's an economic cause. The economic cause was slavery. They'll say, oh, it was a social, ideological thing. The social identity they were protecting was slave owners. Yeah, right. So, yes, a state's right to own humans as farm equipment. Exactly. That is the right that they were fighting for, and it says as much in their documents. But you'll still hear lots of people say that it was something else. Trustworthy people with, with credentials that should probably know better. Television hosts, historians themselves will say that. I heard this from countless pastors and priests. I can't tell you how many pastors and priests told me that the Civil War was fought over slavery, and I grew up, or not over slavery, but states' rights, and I grew up believing that for a long time. So the simple fact is, no. Let's see here. I was taught that states' rights were God ordained and that Satan introduced evil. That's honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't even being sarcastic there. I've been taught things similar. Oh, you're arguing with me in Discord? Joe, you can come on stage if you want. I can share the uh invite link for you if you want to come up and talk about it. But I did want to talk about this list. Yeah, oh gosh. You're not being sarcastic. Unfortunately, that doesn't surprise me. So, item number 6. Alternative medicine, vitamin supplements, homeopathics, detoxes are all woo-woo. It doesn't really do much to help your health. Many of these things are basically just ingredients for expensive urine. And there are some exceptions to a couple of these items on this part of the list. So vitamins are actually good for you if you have some kind of deficiency. If you have like an iron deficiency and a doctor prescribes you iron supplements or vitamins to help you with it, in that case, vitamin supplements are helpful. They do help your health. But like a general vitamin, you really don't need that very much. You get most of the things you need. You need mostly water, carbohydrates, sugar, proteins, and a couple of other things in trace amounts. And you get those things that you need in trace amounts from the foods that you eat. As long as you're not a pirate, like living at sea, who's not getting fruits or vegetables or other parts of what is commonly part of the human diet, then you really don't need a vitamin supplement very much. Homeopathics, those are for sure outright bullshit. So a homeopathic, for those of you who don't know, it's literally just water. So it's water. They claim to put super minute trace amounts such that you wouldn't even have like a measurable molarity, uh, a certain number of atoms of that chemical that are in the water. So it doesn't even really qualify as a solution. It's pretty much just water. And they say that it's the way it works is that water has this memory that if you just put a little bit of the chemical in it, it's like putting more of it. That is not how chemistry works. What if you smile at the water first? Some people think that has an effect too. I also think that is bullshit. So that's homeopathics. Detoxes, straight up, don't do anything. You don't need a detox. If somebody is telling you to try a detox for a problem you're having, they're probably full of it. So there's already a part of your body that does what detoxes claim to do. It's called your liver, it's called your kidneys, it's called your endocrine system. And if those things aren't working, you need a lot more than a detox. You need to go see a doctor. You need more than just like a pad on your feet at night that purports to suck the toxins out. It's really just dirt. I've seen these infomercials for some of these detoxes, and they look convincing, but a detox doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't remove any toxins from your system, even if there are toxins present, which there's probably not a serious amount of toxins, or you would be ill. 7, acupuncture and accupressure are bullshit. Ditto, cupping and scraping. So with acupuncture and accupressure, and the next item on the list, there are schools of it that have evolved. Originally, acupuncture was based on the idea that you have ki, which is this like undetectable spiritual energy flowing through your body, and that it flows through meridians. The original shape of that map of meridians was basically just a grid, and that by putting needles into those meridians, you could realign the chi and heal health problems and improve mood and get rid of pain and all kinds of crazy stuff. In reality, you do have energy coursing through your body. It's called electricity. It's called blood flow. It's called respiration. There's actual measurable things that equate to what this ancient idea was actually trying to measure. And they definitely don't lay out in the shape of a grid, okay? So that part is for sure nonsense. But there are versions of acupuncture and acupressure that are sometimes used in hospitals. They're used in conjunction with modern medicine. Hey, what's up, Joe? How's it going?
What's happening, Austin? Can you hear me?
Are you talking? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yo,
can
you hear me? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, you know what? Can you all hear Joe? I cannot hear Joe. Okay, I know what the problem is. Give me one quick second here.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sidetrack Austin's stream. Sorry, folks. But here, let me finish explaining all these facts for you. So, vaccines, good stuff.
Okay, I can hear you now.
That's all I got to say. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
I can't hear you now.
You can't hear me now? Can the audience hear me?
Yeah, you have no sound now.
Oh man, that's so strange. Yeah, try jumping out and jumping back in. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Okay, good. I can hear you too. Hey,
All
how's
right.
it going?
Hey, sorry for sidetracking the whole stream here.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
This is the first of a couple, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I like that you're doing it, and I really do like the list. It's not a big issue that I disagree with you on. What number are you on?
We're going over number 7 right now, about to hit number 8.
We'll keep going, and I'll just hang out for a minute.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, so acupuncture and acupressure, they've had a little bit of an evolution. There might be some I'll tell you what there is, at the very least, for sure. There is medical value in them as a placebo. And placebos do have medical value. A placebo can make you feel better. It can relieve pain. It can improve your mood. There's a lot of things that placebos can do for you. So it has value in so far as a placebo. It is my contention that it doesn't have more value than a placebo. And that is what I mean when I refer to it as bullshit. For cupping and scraping, those are complete bullshit. Those, if they have placebo value, it's coincidental, and it's contradicted by the fact that they're kind of actually bad for your skin and kind of actually painful. And like I said, they don't really do anything. So cupping and scraping, bullshit. Acupuncture, acupressure, maybe some modern forms, okay? And then chiropractic is kind of in the same boat. So old school chiropractic was based on something called subluxations. When the school of chiropractic was invented, it was invented by a man who claimed that he got the information from ghosts. That's a little known fun fact for you. It's not a great start for a scientific approach, but we try to judge things by their merits, not by their origin. You know, we're okay with the guy saying he got it from ghosts, I guess, a little bit. But the part where it has scientific issues is that it claims to help the body by addressing something called subluxations. And what a subluxation basically is it's this idea that a vertebra in your spine can be in slightly the wrong place. You know, it can be slightly too low or slightly too high or slightly off center. And by adjusting you, the chiropractor is releasing or reducing or eliminating these subluxations, putting your body in a more ordered state. We've never proven subluxations exist, though. That's the problem. And I don't think I used to visit a chiropractor, and one or two, actually. I visited a couple different ones because my grandmother really believed in it. So she tried a couple of them out on me. And none of them ever told me that we don't have any scientific evidence that subluxations actually exist, which is a big deal. It'd be kind of like signing up for chemotherapy without it ever having been proven that tumors and cancer and, you know, that cancer exists. Like, we're treating something we're not sure exists. There are more modern forms of chiropractic that are more evidence-based. So those have slightly more value than the subluxation-based chiropractic. It also has its own issue in that those kinds of chiropractors tend to way overuse x-rays. They x-ray their patients way too much, and there's no need to x-ray patients anywhere near as much as a lot of these chiropractors do, which ultimately x-rays can actually be bad for you. I don't know if you know that, but it's a form of radiation, so too much radiation can be bad for you. All right, next item on the list. Magnets are not special or magical and have no secret healing properties. Neither do any trinkets you saw advertised on some late night infomercial. So this one will probably make Tapioca Weasel Vandy happy. He's a known magnet hater. He's an anti-magnetologist. So yeah, but how do they work? That's a good one. So the reason why you can be extremely confident that no magnet bracelet or wearable magnet shirt, magnet item that you've ever come across will actually do something for you. Yeah. That's dirty. Anyways, so the reason a wearable magnet will not affect you is because you already live on the surface of a rather big magnet. It's called the planet Earth. It's got a really big magnetosphere. It's way bigger than any magnetosphere generated by a magnet you yourself are wearing, and it's also way more powerful. So if that isn't having any effect on your health outcomes, you can be sure no magnet of wearable size will have an effect on your outcome. And There are lots of trinkets that are in that school of kind of alternative fake medicine. There's quartz items. Quartz is the same boat. Quartz is not going to do anything special for you. There's copper items. Copper is the same boat. Copper's not going to do anything special for you. So basically, magnets were just a stand in here. I could have made 3 more items, but magnets covers it if you mention also that, magnet, copper, quartz materials. There are some materials that have health benefits. Most of them don't work by wearing them. Pretty much you're going to have to get it into your system somehow. Like you might need a magnesium vitamin or something. In that case, a metal will have an effect on your health, but it's something you have to ingest. So, item 10, sugar, gluten, dairy, etc., meat, bread is not inherently poisonous or inflammatory, and elimination diets don't work for everyone. So there's lots of diets. There's things like the Atkins diet that says, oh, just cut out all carbohydrates and you'll be healthier. That's not how it works. You need carbohydrates to keep your body fueled. It's one of your main fuel sources. There's some evidence to support the idea that eating less sugar is better for you, but you don't need to eliminate it entirely. In fact, you do need some sugar to be healthy.
Can we talk about
So,
sugar?
hmm?
Sugar's the thing I want to talk to you about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So now I can't pull it up because I'm using my phone to talk to you, but on your where you posted in my Discord for it, I put like 4 or 5 peer-reviewed articles there for you.
Okay.
But sugar, I think, if it was proposed as an additive today, without its history and relation to capitalism, I think that sugar would be classified as a poison. Um, it Glucose is not sugar, right?
Hmm.
Like the I think that sugar, and the part of it I disagree with. I don't think it's inherently poisonous, what you're saying. I wouldn't
Hmm.
say that sugar is poisonous to you in the way that we use the word poisonous, but as for the part where it says it's not bad for you, I think that sugar is only bad for you.
I think it's something that if you get it in excess, it's bad for you, but your body does quite literally need sugar. Although you can get most of the sugars you need from non-sugary foods. You
Right. So,
shouldn't be spooning spoonfuls of sugar into your mouth for
well,
sure.
that's part of the reason that the sugar is bad for you, and
Yeah,
and it's
it is
used
very.
as in an additive in everything, like even stuff that you wouldn't imagine that sugar's in. They put it in everything to make bad
Mhm,
things taste good. It's like the MSG here.
mhm,
The sugar though, see your body uses glucose, but you have a health benefit by breaking down those starches and
mhm,
carbohydrates into sugars for your body to use. That's how you burn calories, and that part's good for your body.
mhm,
And some people have problems with their pancreas and insulin production, which causes issues with them having sugar or too much starch.
mhm,
The sugar itself, though, whenever consumed as fructose, um, is there's lots of studies that suggest it is the reason for obesity in
mhm,
America. It's the number one cause of heart disease in America, and it's not just overconsumption. Although overconsumption is the dangerous part, but with it being in everything, especially sweetened drinks.
mhm.
um, I would say that everybody's over consuming because there is no recommended amount of sugar that you need.
You're making great points, and I agree with everything you're saying. So I would
It,
recommend a great book that I love is called The 10% Solution by Raymond Kurzweil. Have you ever read it by any chance?
no.
So it's a phenomenal book. And it kind of goes against the point that I'm making here. Well, not really. It demonstrates a statistical analysis of the kinds of foods different cultures eat, and it comes to the conclusion that most societies where they eat foods that are 10% calories from fat or less, heart disease significantly, precipitously drops. There's a lot
Yeah.
less heart disease in societies where they're eating less animal protein, because that's the downstream effect of eating more foods with less than 10% calories from fat. Almost all forms of animal protein is going to have 30 or more percent calories from fat. And
So
non-meat protein foods tend to have a lower amount of calories from fat.
so
But
I
this viewpoint has been kind of disproved. We
yeah,
now
that's what I was gonna
know
say.
that sugars are a major contributor. It's a
Yeah.
big overconsumption of sugar is part of what can make people so overweight. And it definitely
Yeah.
contributes to diabetes. That's another big problem with overconsumption of sugar. So my recommendation, based on what I'm telling you here, would be, in a perfect world, it would be to eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, eat less animal protein. You don't have to eliminate milk. You don't have to eliminate bread. You don't have to eliminate sugar completely. But
Right.
eating a more balanced diet will help make you healthier. But you make a really good point about how everything has sugar in it now. And that is absolutely true. You walk down the aisle in a grocery store, 80 to 90% of the items have high fructose corn syrup in them. And that's
Yeah.
because the US government overinvested in corn. They spent millions of dollars growing corn crops all over the country, to the point where we have this massive surplus of corn that we don't know what to do with. So we're putting it in everything in the form of high fructose corn syrup. And sorry, go ahead and say what you want to say. I just wanted to get that thought out.
No, no, no. I'm glad you did. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that there had been a history of the claims that trans fats and animal fats were responsible for obesity and things in America, and I think later studies suggests that that's just not the case. That sugar is responsible for almost all of it, and the there has been, and I'm not going to say that this is true, and it may be a conspiracy theory thing, but there has been a lot said that a lot of those studies into the trans fats and stuff were sponsored by the sugar industry, by because sugar is sold on like
I've heard
futures.
that. Yeah.
It's a weird thing how it's done, and the there I don't know though that there is like I don't know that they suggest a safe amount of sugar that you can
Mm-hmm.
take in. But again, I
Just
don't disagree
less.
with you that eating some sugar is okay. I just took issue with the part of it's not
Yeah.
bad for you. I don't think it. I don't think sugar, like eating a little bit of sugar,
Yeah.
is ever hurt anyone initially. It's one of those things that happens over the long term, and I think even small amounts of sugar over long term can be shown to be harmful.
Yeah.
I would just ask that when you're done and stuff. I don't want to sidetrack your stream anymore. I love what you're doing. Good job,
Thanks.
buddy. But I would ask that you go back to Discord, and I posted those
Yeah.
peer-reviewed studies and take a look at it, because
Absolutely.
I think you may revise your opinion, and because sugar's a crazy one, man. There's a lot out there on it.
Okay. No, you made some great points, and definitely, this is just this list. Not everything on here is perfectly accurate in a
Yeah,
truncated form that'll fit on a list. This is mainly just as like an introductory guide to the facts that I'm most primarily concerned with, because they're the ones that I think lack of awareness about causes the most harm.
yeah,
And so that's why I love your addition to this conversation. My goal in general is to believe as many true things and as few untrue things as possible. And
absolutely.
introducing nuance widens the interval of true beliefs.
Oh
It
yeah, and
definitely does.
if you look, whenever I commented on your thing, I said I disagree with you on one thing here, and then I said I hope I'm wrong, because I
No,
feel
you're
the
not
same way.
exactly
I would
wrong.
rather talk about it and figure it out than
Yeah.
try to say no, it's this way, because absolutely not. And I get what you're doing with the list, and I think it's great. And this isn't a big, I'm just nitpicking at you and stuff. I just thought it would
No,
be
I love it. Nitpick
fun to
me.
push back.
Nitpick me hard.
But
Yes.
yeah, no, good job, Austin, and I'll get out of here and let you do your thing,
Thank you
do your
so
stream,
much,
ain't
Joe.
6 hours long. Uh,
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm hoping it won't be, but you know, it'll be
but
good. Oh, hey, here's Mike. Hey, what's up, Mike? Oh, I can't hear you, Mike. If you're talking, oh, you're muted.
I'm working on it. Can you hear me
Oh, there
now?
yep, hear you now.
Hear you now.
Oh, we
Okay.
got a little bit
One
of an echo
problem.
though.
Yep. I'm working on it. Oh, come on. Why won't you go over there?
Thank you, Joe. Yeah.
well, I may stay now that it's a party.
You're welcome to if you like.
Well,
Glad to have you.
I'm just curious. Is Mike here to tell me that I'm wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Tell you
okay.
that you're what?
That I was wrong about sugar.
That you're wrong about who?
Sugar.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you are. Who knows?
I probably am. I'm good at doing that. But all right, I'll get out of here. Hey, thanks, Austin. Come hang out with me sometime, man. I love talking
Will
to you.
do. Absolutely.
Well, geez, thanks, Joe. You're just wow.
I was getting ready to say the same thing to you, Mike. You're welcome anytime. I love having you over, man.
Okay.
In fact, Mike, I haven't talked to you in a while. You should come over and do a stream with me.
Yes,
So,
we should. I'd love to.
but I'm out of here. I'll stop. This isn't the place. I'll talk to you later, Mike. I'll get a hold of you, and you too, Austin.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Yep. So did Scott show up?
He said he can't be here until 7. I said if I'm still
Oh.
going by then, he's welcome to join. It's a possibility if we got more people stopping in and sharing their viewpoints, which I did want this to be an open panel, so anybody who wants to can come on up and talk about these things with me. I'm hoping to learn more about these things. I'm pretty, like I said at the beginning, I'm pretty confident all these things are mostly factual, if not like entirely factual, but I want nuance. I want to hear it, bring it on. So we're going over this list here, Mike, and you jumped in right at an item that I think you'll probably be able to weigh in on, which is item 11. The Big Bang happened, and it happened billions of years ago. This is one of the things I made this channel to address. That's why the channel's called Scientific Origins. The Big Bang is a big part of the scientific view of our origins. And the fact that it happened billions of years ago is an important thing to know. I think it helps make a lot of sense of the world that we're in, the world around us. I think all the things that we see and we hear and we feel, all that took a lot of time and a lot of energy to come together in the way it has. And there's a lot of evidence that that is exactly the case. Geological evidence, taxonomic evidence, volcanic evidence, astrophysical evidence. So many different lines of evidence say that the universe is very ancient and is expanding from a very hot, infinitely dense state that existed about 14.6, 14.8 billion years ago.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I don't want to call it a big bang because we don't know what the hell it was at that stage when things shrunk down to the point where things were so compact that there was hardly any geometry to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
We're in no man's land.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to talk about we don't want to think in terms of infinitely small, infinitely dense, and things like that. Just definitely denser and
Mhm.
and all that. But now some of the models, they're working on models, and it wouldn't matter if we found out that we were off by that, something else was going on for like 15 billion years in that dense state, right? That something
Mhm.
else was happening because of all the model of galaxy building that we have. I guess is in some jeopardy because of the James Webb Telescope and some of the discoveries. None of that matters because when we get back to that point, we can't talk about things like before the Big Bang or infinitely dense or any of that. We really have to discourage people from thinking like that. What you need to think like is you need to think that I don't fucking know how to think about this because it is too weird because the geometry is going to be totally different 14 billion years ago, right? But you are correct that the 14 billion years in complexification is really important.
Mhm.
And in the 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 cooling and the
Yeah. The entropy.
basically, yeah, and the reverse entropy where things build up, basically
Mhm.
complexity builds up for a while. And like I was gonna look for an animation. I've seen these things where like really hot surfaces or certain magnetic fluids, they'll freak out and they get really chaotic, and then all of a sudden they'll start to build up like a skyscraper, and
Mm.
they'll form a structure. And that's a really good example of a simple physical system with simple physical rules that ends up with these intermediate states of greater and greater complexity,
Mhm.
that pop up. And that's kind of what's going on with carbon chemistry. But I think we need to get everybody in the world to stop talking about a big bang or an infinitely dense little particle, and convince them that the way to talk about it is that you say, I don't know how to talk about it yet. I don't understand it. It's physics that is just so weird. It's a different kind of mathematics and physics altogether, right?
Yeah.
And and
You make some interesting, great points. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
no, that's it.
I was gonna say, the Big Bang Theory, that name was actually a joke. It was a
Yes.
taunting joke because it was a
Yeah.
jest because they
Yeah.
thought it was so non-feasible that the universe could be created by an explosion.
Right.
But and it's not an explosion. That's not what the Big Bang means. It means expansion, basically. And
Right.
you're correct that we don't know how to talk about a lot of it. There is a point in time beyond which we don't really know much of anything. It's like 0.13 femtoseconds or
Yeah.
something like that. But up to that, we have a pretty decent model. Beyond that, no
Yeah.
flipping idea.
Yeah. 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 And the thing about an explosion is that if you blow up a little piece of dynamite, right,
Mhm.
you're going to end up with all these chaotic pockets.
Mhm.
Things are going to be swirling in chaos. And there's a really good possibility that the expansion was not chaotic like that. It was a different kind of thing. It was
Mhm.
a smoother expansion, right?
Yeah.
And but somehow there were enough differences in whatever the matrix was at that time that gravitational pull ended up creating clusters. Like they showed this in space. They brought what did they bring up to the space station? I think like some real fine powders or something, and they would end up you just launch them, in give them a certain spin, and they would naturally form clumps.
Mm.
The gravity would start to pull them together, and that's what happened with stars and galaxies, and we pretty
Yeah.
much know that happened, right?
Solar
But
accretion. Yeah.
like if it were totally smooth and it were totally homogeneous, that never would have happened because
Mhm.
everything would have pulled on everything else with exactly the same force. So there was this contrasting homogeneity and heterogeneity at the
Mhm.
same time, right? There were two conflicting concepts that sort of created what happened. And it wasn't as chaotic as an explosion.
And
So
that's
that's a
something
bad word.
that's something we still see in the universe, in that there's spiral galaxies and there's bar galaxies, but there's also irregular galaxies which don't follow any consistent shape that we know of. So it's interesting. Yeah, there. Of course, this list does not at all mean that all mysteries have been settled and that we know everything about every one of these facts. These are just lists. This list is just a guide into information that you should have as good of a handle on as you can, so that you don't end up getting misinformed or harmed in some other way. And some of the items on this list, you can have your health harmed or your personhood harmed. But another big way you can get harmed by not being familiar enough with items on these lists is you can get a lot of financial harm. There are grifters out there who want to take advantage of your ignorance and make money off of you. And we're getting more into that part of the list.
Yeah.
So
you got a whole bunch.
We finally made it to page 2 about an hour in.
You got one for magic mushrooms and psychedelics? Because there's a bunch of bullshit there that is also becoming harmful.
There is. Oh my gosh, yeah, I have no doubt. Unfortunately, no, I kept it down to these 27. Like I said earlier, you weren't here for this part, so no harm, no foul. The reason I settled on this number of facts and in this order is that I tried to categorize them from most to least harmful. That's why the Holocaust is real is at the top, is because Holocaust denial is so painful, so damaging, so bad. And then the item immediately below that is vaccine hysteria, because that can harm your health. And this was the basic structure. I'm sure shrooms misinformation is harmful. It just wasn't on my radar. Maybe I'll add it to the list in a future update.
Yeah.
So we're on item 12, the item I made this YouTube channel to address. Evolution is real. And this is definitely one of the most controversial items on this list. And what's ironic is that I think most of the figures who are generating controversy about it, they are also what you could call microevolutionists. They believe in evolution to an extent, but they say, beyond a certain point, speciations can't accumulate, adaptation can't accumulate enough to create entirely new traits and novel traits and body forms. And in that way, it's very odd, because we're accepting a lot of the same facts. We're accepting even the same mechanism that creates all that change. They're just saying, no, it didn't create all the change. It was God. God did it because it can't happen because reasons.
I want to interject something here with on Rebecca's channel, that Cornelius Hunter, in his last video that she did with him, he actually started to, in a lot of weird ways, come out against even microevolution.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which is really, which leads you. But I don't know if he cares about Noah's Ark or not, but if you get rid of microevolution, you got an ark problem. A real bad ark problem, right?
You got big problems. And you know what? Microevolution doesn't even solve those problems. It just makes them a teensy bit better. You know? No, I didn't know he was gunning for microevolution now. That's crazy.
Well, I can't remember exactly how I came to that conclusion, but it was I'd have to review the video again, but he was kind of denying everything about evolution. I mean, every mechanism of evolution. And it was really kind of irritating the hell out of me. Anyway,
that would irritate me too, frankly, because in reality, all evolution is change in the heritable characteristics of populations of living organisms over time. And pretty much everybody accepts that that happens. Nobody is claiming that the species are completely immutable anymore. That's how history started, but we're way past that. We know that species are not immutable. So a lot of the wiser, more intelligent creationists have pivoted to saying, okay, they're mutable, but the mutability has limits. And they appeal to things like irreducible complexity to say that's a limit that you can't overcome. Obviously, that's
Right.
wrong. You can overcome that limit, but that's different from saying that like microevolution or adaptation and things like that don't happen at all. That's just next level ridiculous. Ooh.
Yeah, and they what the hell? Oh, I should have lost my train of thought when I saw the Merry Christmas. I just lost my train of thought. We just went out and got a wonderful Christmas tree, but I can't find my Christmas stand. I think my son threw it down the hill with the Christmas tree, so I got to go dig in the snow and find it. But anyway, yeah, oh, shit. Yeah, go ahead. It'll occur to me in a minute here.
We can move on to the next fact.
Oh,
If
yes.
we get stuck on evolution too long, I'll be talking about it the whole night.
Right, we got to come
Because
back to evolution. Yeah, I know what my point was. There's a really interesting kind of thinking that we have to, another kind of thinking that we have to change we have to change our ways. We have to change our thinking about evolution. And I touched on it on a stream yesterday, and it has to do with embryology in the first week of a
oh yeah,
zygote's existence
yeah,
being the maternal, basically, and the overlap between one organism and the next organism and the next organism. And when you look at that, and then the other point I wanted to make about microevolution and macroevolution, okay, if you look at a genome from a frog and
hmm
you look at a genome from a human, right, and you have those two genomes, there is absolutely no physical reason in hell why one genome cannot mutate into the other.
yeah,
The only problem with that is that there has to be survival at every step of the way.
yeah.
And that is where it gets really interesting. That's where that thing about embryology starts to come into play. And we can get back. We circle back to that if I have the energy and you have the energy. But
Yeah,
let's
for
go.
sure.
Dinosaurs are real. I haven't
Robin,
seen no
before we
dinosaur.
do, Robin makes a great point that I want to address here. She says most don't have issues with change over time. The shared common ancestor is what they hate. That is
Yeah, they hate
very
the chimp
true. I
part.
think when I like poll creationists for their opinions,
Yeah,
humans being ape is one of their biggest hurdles that they just cannot get over. They do
right.
humans are special. We're special because we're the only animal with a rational soul, and that puts us atop at the scala naturae, and that's the way it works in their mind. And it does kind of help philosophically because then your own mind is more believable. You're not just some ape blundering about on a dirt ball and should
Yeah,
therefore doubt the mechanisms of your own mind. When in reality, you are absolutely an ape blundering about on a dirt ball, and you need to doubt the mechanisms of your own. You need to come up with something to like account for that and to compensate for it. And we have philosophy and the scientific method and logic and communication and all these tools that we use. But ultimately, we are apes blundering about on a dirt ball, and we need to doubt our minds.
right.
Which was one of
Oh,
Darwin's biggest issues with evolution.
do you know what else Hunter said the other day?
What's that?
He he was comparing chimpanzees and humans, and he said the chimpanzee and human genomes are so similar that there's no way that the genome alone could account for the difference between chimps and humans because chimps and humans are so different. So
That's
he
so
didn't think
interesting.
that is interesting because he's not going along with the whole young earth creationism thing that chimps and
hmm
human genomes aren't the same. What
hmm
he's trying to say is that genes have very little to do with it. It's not the genes. So he thinks there's some kind of other like supernatural magic going on or some fucking thing.
I think he's perhaps making an etymological or an equivocation fallacy or distortion where he thinks
Something.
genes and genomes are the same thing because the genome has less of an impact for sure. The genes have a huge impact, and those are different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can circle back to evolution and talk more about
Yep.
it. Let's move on to dinosaurs are real.
You're
Oh
gonna
my
have
gosh.
to pry it out of
So,
my cold dead fingers.
so
Go
in
ahead.
much the same way that like people deny the germ theory of disease mostly because they're anti-vaxxers, people deny the existence of dinosaurs mostly because they're evolution deniers. I haven't met many people who deny that
Yeah.
dinosaurs were a thing who aren't also creationist evolution deniers.
Right.
And they seem to be a rarer breed. Most of them are not kooky enough to try and say that dinosaurs were not real, partly because it causes such like logical problems. Like we have fossils of dinosaurs. You can go out and dig up a fossil of a dinosaur if you want to. If you have the time and the resources and the skills, you could go do that. So you have to come up for a reason for why those things are there, and none of the reasons they've ever come up with are good. It's basically always involves appealing to some supernatural, invisible enemy who placed those things there to mess with you. You know, that's the only one I've really ever heard.
I met one dinosaur denier. This young girl, she had her own website and everything like that, and she was so angry. She was just angry about dinosaurs. I mean, really angry, with the conspiracy, the dinosaur conspiracy. I haven't run into too many dinosaur deniers, but other than that one person, but she was really fascinating. I was just really fascinated with it.
Candace
Oh,
Owens.
really? Maybe it was her.
Candace Owens said that dinosaurs are, and I quote, fake and gay. That is her very well thought out, articulated position on the dinosaurs.
Gay dinos. Oh my God.
You know what? And I think this one, the reasons people deny it are less like it is also partly because it makes it easier to deny evolution, but I think part of it is also like sociocultural, and that lots of little kids love dinosaurs. They learn about dinosaurs and they become obsessed with dinosaurs. I was one of them. And it's a lot harder to lie about them it makes when they love Quetzalcoatlus and they want to learn about paleontology and biology and herpetology and evolution and science because dinosaurs are so cool. It makes it a lot harder to lie and mislead these kids for the benefit of your grift, basically.
Right.
You tell a little kid that loves Leopleurodon that Leopleurodon was not real. They're just going to be like, okay, boomer.
Yeah.
And go on about their way, you know?
Well, yeah, there's this, the Christian mindset. They hate when kids have fun. They hate kids having fun. So,
takes glory away from God. You're not supposed to enjoy this life. You're supposed to be getting prepared for the next one.
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s, it was really bad. They just hated when kids had fun. That's one of the reasons why you had sugar on your list up there. That's one of the reasons they come up with all these myths about kids and sugar, and everybody believes you put sugar in a kid and he gets basically erratic.
Yeah,
and all that's bullshit.
Yeah,
and most of the stuff about sugar is bullshit. And the thing is that kids love sugar because it's goddamn good for them, and they need a lot of carbohydrates at the point they are. And you should just let your kids eat as much fucking candy as they want. Just have them brush their teeth. Just
I disagree with some of that a little bit, but other parts of it I definitely agree with.
We let our kids eat as much sugar and candy as they wanted, and you know what? They quit eating it entirely, and but they would kill each other over spinach and broccoli.
Yeah, you overconsume it, and like anything you consume too much of, it'll
get tired of it.
You not feel good. Yeah.
But if you withhold it, it becomes the forbidden fruit, and they're gonna fucking love it. Anyway, dinosaurs. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. I think we covered as much as we can go into greater depth once we at least get through the list. And if we do, future streams like this, we'll just skip the part where we read the whole list and we'll go to whatever interesting point we want to bear down on. So this one is a big one.
Can I weigh in on 14? Earth is not
This
flat.
is where we're at. Go right ahead. Number 14, Earth is not flat.
If the Earth was flat, you could never go sliding.
That's a great point.
That is, right.
So you
couldn't have any fun at all, right? Couldn't have any fun at all if it was flat.
You know what? And I think that it's not, even with the flat earthers, they're not saying it's like completely flat. I think the common belief now is that it's disc shaped. It's like a circular dirt pizza.
Okay, so they got so that's how they get over some horizon problems.
Yes,
because they got some horizon problems.
Yeah, well, and it creates new problems in that anything that large and that massive that's disc shaped is going to be crushed into a sphere by gravity.
Yeah,
but a lot of them also don't believe that gravity exists. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So
Jim Bob doesn't believe in gravity.
Oh God. I have lost all hope in him, but we can talk about that another time. So this one is one of the craziest entries on the list because it is so easy to disprove, as Mike just did. Like, as an afterthought, you can disprove this. I look at the moon, and I see it every night, and it's the same side of the moon, and it's circular, and I sometimes see a shadow on the moon, and it's not a straight line. It's a circular shadow. And the sun is obviously not beneath me. The sun is behind me. So it's so easy to figure out without any telescopes, cameras, science, math. Just basic observations can prove that the Earth is not flat. Just looking at the sun, the moon, and the stars can prove that the Earth is not flat. Looking at the other planets can prove that the Earth is not flat. And it's so basic and so easy to figure out that I think this ends up being an important one for the cult of ignorance, the ignorati, the illiterati, whatever you want to call them. because this is it becomes like a Nigerian prince principle bait line. Like, if you're somebody who's dumb enough to believe that the Earth is flat, we can sell any conspiracy theory we want to you. You are just a wet behind the ears, clueless infant little baby in the forest, just waiting to get devoured by every wolf that ever existed. If you can't figure out that the Earth is not flat with just basic observations, basic logic, it's very, very simple. Most kids know this by the time they're 8 years old. For some of the items on this list, it's like, there's some scientists, there's some experts that will say, there's like dietitians that'll say sugar is terrible for you and you should never eat meat and all kinds of stuff. There is not a single scientist I know of who thinks that the Earth is fucking flat. There's zero of it. Can you imagine how bizarre it is to have complete agreement on any matter with a group of people who their entire identity is based around obsessively verifying things? That is like blowing my mind. Zero scientists say that the Earth is flat. Mind blowing.
Yep. There's some kind of a disease, I think, and it's like you see my yellow dots here on the little drawing, and then the two green dots.
Yeah.
Okay, like all the yellow dots. I mean, all the people are saying this one thing, and I have a bit of this disease too, and I think we all do. That what I'll do when everybody sort of is going in one direction, I'll look at the other direction and say, "Hey, we should consider this," right? But there's a further disease where you become obsessed with that idea, and you find these couple of little facts. And you just concentrate on those facts, and that makes you believe that you got it right, and the herd has it wrong. They're going in the wrong direction, those
Mm-hmm.
guys. They're going to go over the cliff, and I'm going to be in nirvana over here. And there's a certain satisfaction to this superiority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has to do with narcissism. It has
Mm-hmm.
to do with the
Ego.
odd thing about people with really uh, really egotistic people is they are the most self-doubting people,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a very weak self-image, so they have to overcompensate by being
Mm-hmm.
somehow special. So when you look at all of your conspiracies here, they all fall under that same fucking umbrella. There's a group of people that think that they have the answer, and they
Mm-hmm.
are therefore smarter, superior, and better stead. They're gonna cure their cancer or whatever the hell it is. There should be a name for that damn disease.
I'm glad you brought this up. I do want to talk about this itself a little bit at the conclusion of the list. But bringing it
Okay.
up now is a good idea because we still have the energy a little bit to talk about it. And Flat Earth is a great demonstration of it. It is a great demonstration of the basically the flick model, I think, is a big part of it. What Robin said here, contrarianism, that's a big part of it. A lot of them are just trolls. They're just trying to
Yeah.
raise your blood pressure by being as stupid as possible. And then there are people who are sincerely that dumb who think, people actually think this. Dunning-Kruger, yes, that's a big part of it too. Confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance. Yeah, no, the flat earth is a great illustration of it. So we might go back to the flat earth to talk about what is happening in the secondary source addict, the internet misinformation crack pipe junkie's mind that causes them to act this way.
Yeah.
Phantom X says, of course not. The earth is obviously a dodecahedron. I will only accept this if it's a rhomby-cosi dodecahedron. Okay, that's my stipulation. But other than that, I'm on board. All right, so number 15, space is real. This one, again, much like, with denying the age of the universe and denying that dinosaurs exist, those are necessary for a lot of people to deny that evolution is real. For flat earthers, they also end up needing to deny the existence of space and the fact that we landed on the moon. Because if space is real, then all those planets, those spherical planets you see in the sky at every night, that spherical sun, that spherical moon, you need a reason to explain why those things are the way they are. And an easy way to get out of explaining it, which flat earthers cannot do, is to just say it's not real. Same for the moon landing. If we landed on the moon, then we know damn sure that the planet is not flat. So for this, almost every single flat earther is also going to be a moon landing denier. Not all of them deny that space is real, but pretty much all of them deny the moon landing happened. And as a result, belief in the moon landing is a good heuristic to figure out if somebody is a flat earther and too embarrassed to cop to it, which is what I think Jim Bob is. I think Jim Bob is a flat earther, but he's too embarrassed to say he's one, because on some level he still realizes it's really stupid to think that. But he's got this like perverted epistemology. He's got this really aggressively and overly skeptical philosophy, and
overly skeptical. It's really weird.
It's lopsided in how it's skeptical.
It's another
too. Yeah.
That's another disease. This like over skepticism.
Yeah.
And God, I have a personal story I could tell you backstage. Kind of sad about a young man who took his own life and his father, and some of the stuff that I saw with that extreme skepticism, and the way he raised his kid, really fucked him up because of this, because of just not trusting anybody, not total denial. Anyway,
I'm fascinated to hear about that.
Yeah.
So that is those three are all kind of related to each other, as are the Big Bang, evolution, and dinosaurs. And they also go together. A lot of flat earthers are also young earth creationists and evolution deniers. There's going to be a lot of people who subscribe to items 11 through 16 on the list and no other items, which is really weird.
Yeah. Right.
All right, moving on. Item number 17. You do not use only 10% of your brain. That is a myth. Yes, this is unequivocally the fact. So I don't even know where this 10% brain myth came from. I literally think it just came from lay people not understanding how the brain works, hearing a specific fact, and then misinterpreting it completely. So I think the origin of it is that you only use like 10% of your brain for something other than spatial reasoning and spatial location. Like most of your brain is a spatial reasoning machine. Most of what my brain is doing right now is telling me I'm sitting on my couch, my cat is here at arm's length, my stairwell is over there, my TV's right there about so far from me. That's most of what your brain is doing. But there are other parts of your brain doing cognition. There's other parts of your brain doing autonomous processes like breathing and blinking and you're causing your heart to beat. So I think this came from partly misinterpreting the understanding that 10% of your brain does something specific and the rest of your brain isn't doing that. And then it also came from an antecedent belief that the rest of your brain that doesn't do something, it's a secret little thing. It's the human potential that hasn't been unlocked yet. If we can unlock this other 90% of our brain, we can dodge bullets like Neo in the Matrix, and we can see the Matrix and do stuff. Like as cool as that would be, unfortunately, it's not the case. You do use your brain, pretty much the whole thing. You may not use it all the time. There's certainly people who use it a lot less than some of us. And but the reality is, like, autonomously, physically, you are using your brain, not just 10% of it. That's just a myth.
Yeah, it came from William James had this idea: you make use of only a small part of your possible mental and physical resources. He was talking about human potential, and he imagined, he was a little bit of a woo head. He wasn't entirely a woo head, but he sort of imagined that if we could use make use of the entire brain. He was also into psychedelics, right? And that some psychedelic people think you turn on, more of your brain, which is a little bit true, but
yeah.
So anyway, it came from that, and it came from ignorance of early neuroanatomy. We didn't know what large parts of the brain did. But another one is really big, is with psychic and self-help writers. How to win friends and influence people. He was into it, Dale Carnegie.
Okay,
And
I didn't know that.
so there's a lot of Hollywood and pop psychology kind of picked it up. But the interesting thing about your brain is not only do you use all of it, but you overuse all of it. So if perhaps we could look at exactly how you understood an apple, we would find that it also had something to do with how you understood table utensils, right? That those two things, which are entirely disparate, because they would in this network, because on the edges of the network, they're lighting up a different set of inputs. They're going to light up a different network, but some of those networks are going to use the same neurons, even though they're about two entirely different concepts.
Yeah.
So that that becomes very interesting, because there's a lot of redundancy too in that. So the same concepts are stored in these bizarre networks in a number of different places. So you're not only using all of your neurons, but you're using one neuron for more than one thing, right? Over and over again. And that is really some cool stuff. There's some cool neuroscience, scientific theories behind that. Anyway.
And I think that's how things like verbal dysphagia happen, where you're trying to say one word and you end up saying another word instead.
Yeah, because and you'll find that, like one thought will trigger another thought that just seems totally unrelated.
One of my
because you're
favorite,
using those same networks.
yeah, one of my favorite examples of this is a book about this very subject. It's called The Man Who Thought His Wife Was a Hat. And it was
Oh,
called that
is
because of verbal dysphagia, a man who had a condition where he said he gets up to leave a room and he says, "Okay, I'm going to go grab my wife." And then he grabs his hat and puts his hat on his head. He's confusing the word wife for the word hat. And it's because his wife hands him his hat every day before he leaves his house. So he has this
yeah,
thought pattern in his head: grab the hat, kiss the wife. Grab the hat, kiss the wife. And the last word of those two thoughts end up getting flipped so that he's thinking grab the hat, but he ends up saying grab the wife. Yeah,
yeah. That,
fascinating.
that was Oliver Sacks.
Yeah, great book.
Basically, did a lot of, another one that did a lot of studies on that is V.S. Ramachandran. He is a wonderful person who
Mm,
rolls his R's when he speaks English. He
yeah,
rolls his R's in a wonderful way. But I call him the Rama
yeah.
because he's like a god to me. But anyway, V.S. Ramachandran. If you haven't read any of his work, check it
I
out.
haven't. I'll have to check him out.
Yeah,
I've done a little more studying of Sternberg, and Sternberg was more focused on intelligence, but he also talked about things like that too. Sternberg was an intelligence researcher. He had a lot of great insights into intelligence, and he was not a fan of IQ. He hated IQ. He thinks
oh
IQ
yeah,
is bullcrap, and that is not a good metric for intelligence at all. And I have to
it
say, I
is.
agree. It's pretty much the only metric it's good for is retention and memory recall.
Yeah, yeah. IQ
If
is
you want
bullshit.
to if you want a test that's way better for studying your intelligence, take the Wonderlic. Wonderlic's way better than an IQ test.
What the hell is that?
It's
The
it's a
Wonderlic?
it's a timed test. It's like 15 minutes or something. It's timed. No, it's not 15 minutes, but you have 15 questions and you have a certain amount of time to get them all done in. And
Oh.
it's a really strong indicator of scientific acumen and mathematical skill.
If I have a time test, my mind shuts up like a steel trap.
A lot of people do. Yeah, the timing
Yeah,
element is an important aspect of it.
it just fucks me
So
up. I cannot think past the clock.
one thing I think we should touch on a little real quick before we move on from the brain myth on to item 18 is that I think that this myth that you only use 10% of your brain ties into a lot of other myths and lies and beliefs about the brain. Things like near-death experiences or spirit science, higher
Oh yeah.
frequencies, stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
It ties heavily into it.
Yeah. I have a
You
red
know, well,
tuna
I
in your
know at
tuna.
least one person that believes they can sincerely tap into a higher frequency or some shit like that, and it's yeah,
Well, I know one, Kafai. If
yeah,
you take a heroic dose, right? You tap into you can see
yes,
God. You can see God
mm,
for real.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right, this item 18 is one of the more bizarre ones on the list. I I did
Yeah.
not know as much about this item until recently. Like I was aware it existed, but I just never rolled around in the mud with these types very much. And that is that Atlantis was not real and it was not constructed by a master race. It blows my mind that this needs to be explained. Atlantis
Yeah.
is in the same category as Narnia, as you know, any other Oz, the fictional land of Oz, is as real as Atlantis is. This is a story that was made up by Plato. Yeah, Plato.
Oh, was it
Uh,
really?
yeah, and it was a parable about hubris. Basically, the
Yeah.
the the Atlanteans were superior and they had the best technology and the best civilization, but they were so arrogant it caused their own downfall and they sank into the ocean. And I really, it's so bizarre to me that white supremacists took this myth and have historicized it and convinced themselves it's real and that the Atlanteans were the white master race that they worship. So fucking weird. It would be like if black supremacists for some reason worshipped Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia. It straight up does not fucking make sense. It's a true bizarrity. I have trouble wrapping my brain around the fact that there are people who sincerely think this shit. Frankly, it is one of the most insane beliefs on this list. And that's a list including Bigfoot is not real. So that tells you something. Like a Bigfoot hunter, they are like well diluted. Like once you're to the point where you're like believing Bigfoot is real, I think you're really far gone. Like Earth is flat, Bigfoot is real. Like that level of belief is like, I just don't think that most of those people.
Bigfoot is at least possible. I mean, it's at least possible.
Right,
like unicorns are possible, right?
Yeah.
Not magical ones, but something with one horn sticking out of his head. I mean, those things are a little bit less crazy than some of this other shit. But like space was
Anyway. Yeah. So this one is also interesting because I think there's for a lot of the items on this list, there's a gaggle of fake experts who you can trace all the beliefs in these weird things back to. On this one, there's like 3 of them. It's mostly Graham Hancock, Robert Sepper, and one other guy who I can't even remember the name of right now. But they are the 3 main ones. It's like how for anti-vax, there's about 12 of them that over 60 million accounts are following and retweeting the misinformation from. So it's interesting. I think that's part of the reason why this one's a little more abstruse, is because there's a smaller number of fake experts at the top of the pyramid. Pyramid. That's also something they spread. If you knew about this conspiracy theory, you know that was a really funny joke. But anyways,
crystals and pyramids. Oh my god.
All right. So number 19, astrology is bullshit. And I know this is going to be a controversial one too. This will make a lot of people upset. The blue hairs, the purple hairs, the hippie chicks, the white college girls named Sarah that have a dream catcher hanging on their wall with no idea what it even means. They're going to be so mad about this one. They're going to cancel me, bro.
You just gave me PTSD. I dated a witch with dream catchers, right?
Yeah.
And
so
I had some weird experiences, right?
Astrology, if you don't know, it is the belief that human beings, their personalities, their style, their beliefs, and their behaviors can be influenced by the time of their birth and therefore the location of the stars when they are born. Actually, it's the other way around. The location of where the stars are, so the time of your birth. And this belief, when you lay it out that way, it seems so obvious that it's not true, that where Mars is in the sky when I popped out of my mom's vagina had absolutely zero impact on who I would be as a person. That there's so many other factors that would have a much larger impact. Your economic situation, your location in your home country, the languages your family speaks. There's so many things that have so much more impact on shaping you as an individual than what position the sky was in when you were expelled from a uterus. And yet this is another one of the really controversial items. A lot of people believe wholeheartedly in astrology. And it's another one of those things like acupuncture and chiropractic where it's evolved a little bit. And now they've kind of blended it with real science and real psychology, which at that point just drop the astrology and study real psychology,
I wonder. There's one thing or one aspect of something like that, which is lunar phases, basically full moons and things like that. And
those
there's a there's a very slight possibility that we have a couple of neurons that are hooked into our inner ear or something, that we can actually sense lunar, how close the moon is or whatever. But that is really stretching, and I do not believe in that, but I would consider that almost possible, the moon, but nothing
I
else.
would say that the moon does have an impact, but it's sociocultural. It's our cultural beliefs about the full moon is the night where we
Yeah,
creep about and where the things happen.
yeah.
So there is some
Well,
correlation with like full moons and slight spikes in crime.
it's
Uh,
light at night. Light at
yeah,
night when
right, yeah,
we
yeah,
have a full moon,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
have a lot of light at night. Basically, we are really driven by nighttime, daytime, and
Hmm.
we have a couple of neurons that basically just serve that to tell you whether it's light or dark. And now we're all screwed up because of our artificial lighting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But if you're out camping and stuff like that, I'm guessing if you spent a few months in the woods, you would start to tune in to lunar cycles more heavily because of the light at night, because of how
probably.
much
Yeah.
light there is. And the pure darkness is definitely going to reset you in some manner. Um, I don't know. That would be an interesting study. We got to get a bunch of kids.
I
Like,
messed up because I let Dave learn my birthday, and now I can't do something that would be fun to tell all the people watching this who believe in astrology. Leave a
oh, that you're a
comment
certain
and tell
sign,
me
right?
tell me what's
Yeah,
you think my signs are, and I'll tell you if you're
yeah,
right. But Dave knows. Dang it.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
So you know what? I'll just share this story. So
Hi, Tori.
since everybody knows, I was born on May 21st, which is right on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. I think it is
Oh, well, that
actually Taurus,
explains a lot.
but it's right next. Yeah, sure it does, Mike. Yeah. So it's right on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. So for most of my life, I actually thought I was a Gemini. And when I thought I was a Gemini, people would say things like Mike just said, like, "Oh, you're such a Gemini. That makes so much sense."
Yeah.
But I was a Taurus the whole time. And now that I know
Oh,
I'm a Taurus, anybody I bring up the fact that I'm a Taurus with them, they go, "Oh, you're a Taurus. You're such a Taurus. Of course you are. That makes perfect
yeah.
sense." It is kind of a self-confirming, self-affirming, self-fulfilling prophecy. And I will say that, and this is a point in favor, so don't crucify me too hard, crunchy chicks. Uh, Astrology is a lot less harmful than the other bullshit on the list. Um, Astrology is mostly harmful in the form of it can cost you money and it might cost you opportunities. Like, oh, I don't need to apply for this job. My horoscope said nothing good was going to happen for me today, or
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
I shouldn't date that guy. He's a Taurus, or he's a Cancer, or whatever. Things like
right.
that. So it's not like you're going to lose your life from believing in astrology, but it can be a little harmful sometimes. I
When I was
do
20,
accept that it can be pretty much harmless if you do it well. It
yeah,
won't
when I was
hurt a lot of people.
24, I was reading the horoscope every day in the newspaper when I was in,
Mm.
I had a nervous breakdown, tried to kill myself. Wrote a really neat poem before I tried to kill myself, and then ended up in a psych ward, and then ended up in a treatment facility. And the whole time I was there, I had a girlfriend and I had a wife, and and I was reading this horoscope, and the horoscope was, and I had this brand new 74 real sporty AMC Matador with a really big engine, and it was brand new. And my wife was in possession of the car and her family, basically. And I read the horoscope, and it told me something about people would use you, or something about using me, right, and using my stuff. So I managed to get my girlfriend, and I want to put air quotes around that, because I met her in a drunken blackout, right? And ended up not really knowing this woman at all. And she was also married. I gave her my car, and
Oh no.
she stole it. and it took me a month to find her and get my car back. So, but the thing was, the horoscope was right. There were people that were trying to use me for my possessions. It was the girlfriend.
I
Anyway,
think that's part of how horoscopes work. Is that
it's
they
really
do try
cool.
to keep them like vague and
Big and
generalizable.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
if a horoscope says, "Oh, you're going to make an important decision today." You make
yeah.
important decisions every
Right,
day. Your
right.
decision to get out of bed and go to work was probably an important decision because that made you able to feed yourself. You can justify a lot of these horoscopes in all kinds of ways. So
But
they do
if you
kind of
follow
construct them that way.
some prescription like that,
Mhm.
so some weird thing like there's this thing about following paths in the woods and believing you can see paths
Mm,
and looking for synchronicity, right? And our minds are unbelievable. They'll train onto some program like that, and they
mhm,
will find all these new creative avenues that they wouldn't have ordinarily found because you're training on it. And that's how that shit works. And that's how psychics work on you. They manage
mhm.
to they manage to modify you while they're pronouncing whatever it is, but it can also become it can actually become a rather remarkable and good form of therapy if you
Mm,
use it right, if you do it in
yeah.
the right way. But you have to understand that there's no fucking woo, and nothing can happen that doesn't happen in your head. You
Mhm.
know that that's the arena. It's really cool. So I mean, all of these things have some element of utility in them,
Yeah.
and that's why they stick around. That's why you can't kill them. It's like, oh no, this thing happened to
That
me,
I
and
think is a
you
part
know,
of it,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think social media contributes to it, and the media contributes to it because these things are more sensational. They pull more attention. They go further. They a lot of them are also very egocentric. They make the people who believe them they're ego gratifying as opposed to ego diminishing. And
right,
sometimes the alternative viewpoint can be seen as ego diminishing. Like I don't want to just be an ape. I want to be a human at the top of the great scale of being, you
yeah,
know?
right,
Yeah.
yeah. We're on top.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you mentioned psychics, and wouldn't you know it, that's the next point. Psychics, clairvoyants, tarot card readers. It is my sincere belief that most of these people are basically con artists.
yeah,
Uh, they are misrepresenting their abilities. They do not. They probably know that they don't have the abilities they claim to have. Some of them, I think, are unhinged and deluded, and actually believe that they can commune with the dead or see the future or
right,
read energies and stuff like that. I I know for a fact a bunch of them are straight up con artists though. And the way I know that is there are books that teach them how to run the con.
right,
And those books are mostly about two things, something called cold reading and something called hot reading. And that's really just fancy words for researching your mark and then duping them.
yeah,
So cold reading is a technique where you use kind of like statistical likelihoods and context clues and cues from their body language and what they're wearing to make guesses. Oh, I see a romance in your future. Most people are trying to pursue another person because we all like having sex.
right.
This person has dark hair. Most humans have dark hair, like 70 to 80% of them.
I don't.
Yeah, yeah,
I use
yeah. True.
I
There
don't.
are exceptions. Yeah.
Yeah,
This person has a C in their name, and
yeah,
one interesting thing you can do with cold reading is you can turn a miss into a hit if you just keep mining with it. Oh, I
right.
think there's a C in their name. My husband's name is Kurt, but it's spelled with a K. Oh,
Yeah,
that's what it was. That's what it was, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
you can guess letters of the alphabet and people will ignore the misses for the most part. And
yeah.
if you're clever, you can turn a miss into a hit. So
My
that's the
dad
cold.
hired a
Sorry, go ahead.
my dad hired a dowser to drill a well, And the neat thing about them is they'll come along and they'll find the spot where you're supposed to drill, and then you drill down 100 feet and there's no water, and you think, oh well, God, the dowser told me there's water here, so you drill another 100 feet, and eventually you fucking hit water.
Yeah.
And my dad did that, and he drilled down like 200 feet and he hit water. So
Yeah.
the dowser worked.
Yeah. The second half is hot reading, and that is literally just researching the person, which is easier than ever to do. So lots of psychics now, straight up, they're using your Facebook. They go on your Facebook, they look at your relationship status, they look at your likes, and they use that to make their cold reading seem more believable, to seem like more truly clairvoyant. Oh, I'm sensing you love the movie Garfield Tale of Two Kitties. Oh my gosh, I do. How did you know that? You know? It's like it says it right on your Facebook. You know, you have a picture of you wearing a shirt of Garfield, or you liked the movie and it's in your likes. You know, they use social media now as a tool to prime their cold readings, and that is what is known as hot reading. Yeah. So that's how psychics work their magic. This next one, magic is not real. Now
that's an interesting one.
There are people who believe in all different kinds of magic. Every grown adult should be fully and unquestioningly abreast of this fact from my viewpoint. But there are so many grown adults out there who say things like, I practice black magic. I practice summoning. I'm a demonologist. I am schooled in spiritism, occultism, Kabbalistic magic, crystal rituals. There's so many different kinds of this belief. And this one too, it's really big with the crunchy, hippie, granola kind of type of crowd, you know, the white college chicks named Sarah Smith who have the dream catchers hanging in their rooms.
Sorry. What is magic? What is magic? It has something to do with how would you define it? It's like there's like, okay, if you say an incantation, right?
The ability to alter the material world through intention, chanting, crystals, or specialized thought might be the way I would define it.
It has to be defined as altering the physical world in a way that is not physically possible.
Yeah,
which is interesting, because the thing about magic, like God spoke the world into existence, that's where all this religion shit came from. It's all magic. God, everything God does is magic, right? He creates man out of dust and creates herds of elephants out of his word and seas out of his word and all that stuff. But it always interests me in supernatural has something to do with, okay, if I want to carve a bench, I get tools, right? I get some sharp tools out. I cut a tree down, carve the bench, right? Man is using tools. Okay, so it's like an extension of our tool use to the point where we can do things that are exceptional. So it's exceptional tool use. If I want to piss you off, I could say some words to you, right? Or if I want to make you happy or flatter you, I could manipulate you with my words. And then it's a simple extension to go on. I can manipulate physical objects with my mind or with words, that sort of thing. And it's just a whole interesting bundle of bad psychology that we have that's all based ultimately on the fact that we use tools. So ready to hand, that's what is it? Was that Heidegger or Husserl? I think it was Heidegger had this idea of ready to hand, that everything is about tool use, and that's how we operate. That's how our minds work. That's how we think. And so magic is like an extension of that. And there's just so much bullshit out there over that.
I included this one Partly because of the black magic, the summoning, demonology, spiritism types. I also
Right.
included it for two other reasons, and that is one, manifesting, which is basically magic.
Okay.
People, this idea that if you focus on, oh, I want a higher paying job, you'll get a higher paying
Oh
job.
yeah, yeah.
that
Right.
that is not how reality works. It might help you crystallize your intention into action, but it doesn't magically make it happen. Without action, your manifestation alone will not make that thing happen. And I also included it because of a very common quote that I hear fairly frequently, which is sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Sufficiently
No, no.
advanced technology is advanced technology. It's not magic. It's not influencing the universe without some physical substrate.
Yeah,
Yeah. That is what I would define as magic, is influencing the universe without a physical substrate, which is
yeah. And that
almost
blends.
it's almost impossible to even visualize what that would be, because even visualizing things requires the physical substrate of your brain and your neurology. So
Right.
yeah.
And that
So
blends
this one
back
I'm
into
pretty
the
confident
using
ain't real.
10% of your brain too. This thing about manifesting. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Oh God,
Please
really?
don't cast any spells on me, Robin. I promise I don't deserve it. Uh, and you never know if I have a reflecting enchantment on me that will just repel the curses and bounce them right back at you. So watch out for that. Okay, so the next couple of items on the list, honestly, I could probably boil these all into just one point. I made
Shit don't
three of
exist. Weird
them.
shit don't exist.
I made three of them separate because those are the ones that people believe in the most.
Yeah.
And that is Bigfoot is not real, the Mothman is not real, and the Loch Ness Monster is not real. And then the next one after that, I included all the other ones that I didn't include in those three: unicorns, fairies, dragons, leprechauns, extraterrestrials, and the Men in Black. Uh, so obviously, Bigfoot is not real. If there were a species of primates on the planet, huge primates, there would be a lot of evidence that that species exists. There would be bodies, skeletal remains, unique biological material. After over a century of searching, nobody's ever found any of this material. None of it's ever been confirmed by scientific analysis. Mothman.
Robin Hood.
Oh,
That's cool.
oh,
I still
Robin,
believe
we
in
love
Bigfoot.
you, and we love
Yeah.
your honesty. You know what? That's
Yeah.
okay. You know how many adults believe almost everything on this list? You're doing
Yeah.
pretty well if you're only a foul on like one or two of them.
Just to
Okay,
be.
so Mothman. Mothman comes from a specific series of legends that's based on a well understood phenomena called highway hypnosis. You familiar with
Ooh.
Mothman and highway hypnosis, Mike?
No, no, I'm not. Tell
Okay,
me.
so basically all of the Mothman legends involve a portion that's like this. I was on the highway on the west side of Virginia, and then the next thing I know, I'm in North Virginia, and I have no idea how I got there. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
that's a common thing. We actually know
Yeah.
that happens. Your
I do that
autonomous
every time I
processes
drive.
take over. Yes, yeah. But
Yeah.
people invented a cryptid to explain this. They
No,
invented the Mothman.
no shit.
And
Wow.
so he's one of the funniest items on the list, because I know that there's a lot of people that know that because there was a movie made about this, and the movie
Yeah.
starred Richard Gere, and it was embarrassingly bad. And as a result,
Yeah.
there was like this cultural schism, this awakening that the Mothman is just this weird justification for this well understood phenomena. And so now what you see all kinds of people professing to believe the Mothman, but it's just as a joke. Like one of my best friends has a bumper sticker on his car that says the Mothman is real and we made out and he's a very gentle kisser. You know, like
Wow.
stuff like that.
Okay.
And I do think that's funny. If there's any item on the list that I'm gonna flip around on, yes, the black dog. This is in the same kind of school as the Mothman. I actually brought this up at my D&D party the other night, and the DM said he had seen the black dog before. So that's the Mothman. The Loch Ness Monster. So this one, this is another one where it's really crazy that people still believe in it, because we not only disproved this scientifically, we also found the source of the myth. So the Loch Ness Monster is supposedly some big prehistoric freaking brachiopod looking monster that lives in a lake in Ireland called Loch Ness. The true history of the fact is that it was just a picture that was taken by a local that took advantage of perspective to make a toy submarine look like this lake monster, and it got way out of hand. But before we ever found out that that was the source of the myth, we disproved it using biomass calculations. We were able to discern that there simply was not enough biomass in Loch Ness for an organism of that size to survive without starving. So scientifically it was disproven, and then historically it was disproven. We learned what the actual source of that information was.
And there's a little more to this. I lived around really deep open pit mines that were filled with water. They were 600, 800 feet deep. And they had these and very crystal clear water. And they would always freak me out. And they generally freak people out, because a T-Rex could actually stand on the bottom and you would not see him at all, basically, until you went swimming, right? Because of the depth of the water. And the other weird thing is the water is really clear in those mines. And if you look down, when they flooded, sometimes there were trees growing down there, and you can see the trees branches sticking up, and they look like monsters reaching for you. It's amazing. But you can get really freaked out, especially if you're smoking a little bit of, the ganja,
or drinking a little of the glug glug.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
A lot of these myths come from sources like, according to a park ranger who, to be fair, was going through a bad divorce and had a reputation of telling lies in order to get attention, things like that. Yeah. So unicorns, fairies, dragons, leprechauns, extraterrestrials, and the men in black. So unicorns, fairies, dragons, leprechauns, all that shit, obviously not real, purely mythical. I think the same is true about the men in black. I think extraterrestrials probably do exist. There's probably other life somewhere in the universe. I just don't think it's advanced enough to have things like faster than light travel. And I think even if it does, it didn't use that technology to come here.
Faster than light travel is probably not even possible. There's probably no way to do that, no way to traverse space.
My little sister still believes in fairies and the fae folk, Robin. So
yeah.
I
had this. My friend, his father was from Ireland, and he was a Irish whiskey drinker, and he believed in leprechauns very seriously. He was something else.
Yeah,
he was cool.
I've met grown adults that still believe in Santa, Mike. Let me tell you.
Well,
yeah.
Me, I believe in Santa. I know he's real. I know he's real. I know he's going to bring me something this year.
Yep. Big old lump of coal.
I just have to behave.
So the final two items on the list, I know these are for sure controversial. And I worded them carefully in order to express myself well here. And item number one, I'm not saying here that there is for sure no God. I am an agnostic atheist. I do not take it that I know for certain that there is no God. But I do know for certain, I will say I'm Gnostic about this. There is an equal amount of empirical, verifiable evidence for every deity ever concocted by human beings on this planet. None.
None. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
empirical, verifiable evidence, that doesn't mean like philosophical reasonings. Okay. You can come up with a philosophical reasoning why there might be a God, and you might count that as evidence. I would say, sure, that's evidence, but it's really, really weak evidence. And
Yeah.
empirical, verifiable evidence is a completely different category. It's way stronger evidence. And
I'm
that is the
certain.
evidence for which there is not more for any other god. There's an equal amount of that evidence as there is for Vishnu, as there is for Buddha, as there is for Muhammad, as there is for Jesus, as there is for Yahweh. It's all the same.
I'm a
And I
hard
think,
atheist in that I believe for certain that there cannot be a God, at
mm,
least a Christian kind of man-thinky God. Because of my philosophy and because of many years of thinking about this, I'm a hard atheist. So I'm not an agnostic atheist. I will.
hard,
There's no possibility. Yeah.
hard. You know what?
Hard, hard.
That's
I'm
a good
hard.
That's a good clarification. That's a good clarification. I would say I'm agnostic about whether or not just a deity in general exists, especially something like Spinoza's God, where God is just like part
Well,
of
yeah. What?
nature, part of the
Well,
universe, or the creator that just burped or shat everything out and then fucked off. Like that, maybe. I would say I am Gnostic that there isn't a Christian God. There are several of conceptions of God that I would be willing to say I'm Gnostic about, that those don't exist. Like,
man, bear, pig, God.
yeah,
Like,
irrational gods. Yeah, yeah,
rational God. Yeah, a thinky God. And
yeah,
that's another thing like magic that requires a little bit of thinking about it. If you think about it, it illustrates some of the misconceptions that we have about our own minds and consciousness and all of that. And all of that stuff is kind of tied in a bundle. And it's the God bundle, basically. And I call it point source, spirit, mind, thinking. Uh, and I have an acronym for it. I don't know the acronym off the top of my head, but I can write it down. Point source, spirit, mind, thinking leads us to all sorts of bullshit. Anyway, and that would require a stream all by itself,
yes.
or
Oh,
two.
I said earlier as we were going through the list that we could easily do an entire stream for
Right.
many items, if not basically every item on this list. And so item number 27, the final item. We're finally
Uh,
at the end of the line.
and
There
yeah, same
there is
thing.
an equal amount of verifiable empirical evidence for the soul. And that is
Yeah.
to say there is none. There is no evidence that souls exist. I would take it a step further and say that we can even say to some degree of certainty, with some degree of certainty, how the concept of the soul came to exist. And that lies in human history, that lies in human ancestors that developed an idea called animism. And that is the idea, like, I think about it this way. I think about an ancient human blundering about, doing his AP things, and then his AP wife, suddenly she's not doing stuff anymore. She stops, moving around. She
Moving.
stops breathing.
Yeah.
She stops
Yeah.
doing all. And so they wondered where this animate part of themselves went to when that
Yeah.
happened. And they
Yeah.
looked up at the sky and theorized it went up there.
Yeah.
And
Because
that
death
was
is weird. Yeah.
the beginning of the idea of a soul. This
Yeah.
part of us, this thing that it gives us our feelings and it makes us animate and it makes us who we are. I would contend that everything that we once thought was done by the soul, we now know that in fact it was done by the brain and the nervous system.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I do not believe that there is any evidence that souls exist, and that's an important fact to know. Religious people will try and manipulate you with this a lot. They're
Yeah,
basically
experiences.
their goal is to convince you that your soul is in danger, and only if you listen to them can you make it safe again.
Yeah.
And through that, they manipulate you in many ways.
Yeah, but once I stayed up for 9 days, drank 3 quarts of vodka, and took a pound of mushrooms, and I had an out of body experience. So I'm pretty sure.
You know what? That's a fair point. That has also been explained by neuroanatomy. So what happened to you when you had that out of body experience, Mike, is that your parietal lobe had a significant decline in activity. And what your parietal lobe does is it
Default mode network.
assimilates you into the space around you. It lets you know your body's here and not over there. And so when the activity declines there, you get an unlocalized sense of where your body is. And that can make you
Right.
feel like you're outside of your body.
And you know that tunnel of light that people see?
Yeah.
Basically, if your primary cortex, primary visual cortex, is on the back of your brain, and it's
Oh, yeah.
mapped out. It's mapped out just like a graph onto your eyelid, onto your visual field, right?
Mhm.
So if you were to unfold that, you could actually, and you were looking at a shape, you could actually see neurons light up like that shape, right? Well, anyway, when that primary visual cortex starts to lose function, like either through an anesthetic or through loss of oxygen, well, it basically shuts down from the outside in, and it becomes because our visual field is cued to find differences between light and dark. Because none of those neurons on the outside are firing, they seem very black, and anything you do see at the center seems much whiter and lighter. So it's brighter. And I had a wonderful experience with a dentist giving me nitrous oxide until, and I was watching my peripheral vision was collapsing. And then it just kept collapsing and collapsing. And all of a sudden it just went blink and I was out. But I saw the tunnel of light basically on nitrous oxide. And I think that's reproducible, and it's also scannable in basically
MRI.
a brain scan. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, either an MRI or I'm trying to think of the other one. Anyway, so
Electroencephalogram, an EEG.
yeah, so yeah, there's an actual reason for that to happen.
Mhm.
It's really cool. There's also some visual illusions that you can trace to how neurons work in your primary visual cortex. There's one really neat one where you can see these black dots that aren't really there
Mhm.
in this matrix, and it's because when one neuron fires, it inhibits the neuron next to it, and it creates basically this little black spot. It's really cool when you get into neuroscience and you start looking
It
at some of
is.
these fucking
Absolutely.
hallucinations people have. Anyway,
And it shows how who you are is an effect of your brain. There's no room really for the soul in it. If your
yeah.
brain changes, it's probably going to change who you are. Phineas Gage comes to mind, the guy who had a railroad spike passed through his
Any
brain, and it
anyone with early
yeah,
stage dementia basically starts to
yeah,
undergo severe personality changes.
for sure.
And yeah, it's horrible. Yep.
Well, I am very proud of us. We got through the whole list.
Even with me around,
Yeah, I know. It
Mr. Sidetrack.
only took over about 2 hours.
Yeah.
We only got some mild pushback from Joe on one point about sugar that we were definitely able to find plenty of consensus and agreement on. That makes me hopeful. So
What did
thank
Joe
you
say
guys.
about sugar?
He thinks the sugar is bad for you, and he's not exactly
Oh,
wrong. You get too much
well,
of it, it's bad for you.
yeah, too much of it is bad for you, dietarily bad,
Yeah,
and it can cause a certain kind of insulin resistance, I
yeah,
think, at a certain point. And some of that stuff is true, but for the most part, no, the sugar is not a, well, it actually is a fucking poison. Did you know that?
You know what? It sounds like we need to have a whole stream about sugar. It's time
Well,
for it to happen. That's what the next
it
one
has
will
all
be.
those, it has all those hydroxyl radicals on it, those
Yeah.
OH groups. It has 6 of them.
Mhm.
Sodium hydroxide, which is lye, has 1. Of course, the sodium makes it angrier. But
Mhm.
anyway, those hydroxyl radicals are why you can store syrup. Uh, I say syrup, as people say syrup. I don't know. Anyway, on the Iron Range, we say syrup. It's syrup. You can store it in the cupboard without refrigerating it because
Mhm.
bacteria die in sugar. And if you get above 4% sugar, it'll kill microbes and it'll kill fungus. And you have
Mhm.
to keep it low because it's highly poisonous. But
Mhm.
anyway, we have acquired an ability to eat this poison and just enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, right?
You know
Cool.
what? It's interesting because I think there's kind of a similar origin with things like caffeine. Caffeine and other stimulants that are acquired naturally. Caffeine
Yeah,
specifically was evolved as a defense against insects. When
yeah, yeah.
insects would chew on the cocoa plant, they get the caffeine in their system. Their heart would
And
start
yeah,
jackhammering, and they would cause their little hearts to explode. For
yeah.
us, because we're so much bigger and we can metabolize it easier, it just makes our heart a little jumpy. It's not enough to cause it to explode, but it gives you that little kick, that little zhuzh.
Makes us
So
feel like Superman.
ironically, yeah,
Yeah,
we're drinking poison, and it's not strong enough poison to kill us, and we're
right.
enjoying the side effect of the poison.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
yep,
It's like how peppers evolved capsaicin because it helped birds. Birds can't taste piquancy, so it helps them spread their seeds around further. Because mammals and other land organisms are less likely to eat it because they
yeah,
don't like
yeah.
the spiciness. But humans were
Oh, I
like, we
didn't know
love
that.
that shit. Yeah, we're gonna
I did not
selectively
know that.
breed you and make you as spicy as possible because we love pain.
Yeah, wow.
And apparently, I love pain too because I went through the trouble to put this list of facts together for people who don't agree with any part of it, who are very unlikely to be convinced. Uh, so I think one of the good things about this list of fact is if you can get it in front of somebody before they've decided they feel the opposite way about the information here. I think you know uh it's less likely that they'll begin having those non-factual beliefs. It's
Yeah, and
easier to prevent someone from adopting those non-factual beliefs than it is to convince them out of it.
I Robin Hood mentioned something here. I push back against the claim that tarot card readers are con artists. Uh, Like, I want to come at this from a slightly different angle. Like, a lot of things in this list have to do with our psychology and how our psychology works. And if you go to a mind reader or a crystal ball reader or a tarot card reader, in some sense, you're engaging in a kind of therapy
Mm,
where they can lead you and they can change your the state of your mind to a
mm,
different state than when you walked in. And if they're careful and somebody does a really good job, they can change your state in a positive way, which is all a therapist is, right? Therapist is
mm,
using this voodoo, asking you questions about your mother and all this bullshit, and basically they're changing your mind in a certain way. And tarot cards can do that. Prayer can do that. There's a number of things that can do this. And so if you want to convince these people that believe in bullshit not to believe in the bullshit, you have to separate out the parts that actually work on our
mm,
psychology and work on our mythos and incorporate in our mythos and sort of meet them in the middle. Sort of, there's a bridge in the back where you where
mm,
you can get them to understand that the benefits of some of these things that they're experiencing, you can have those benefits without believing in supernatural crazy bullshit
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, if you just understand our psychology. And I think that's an important part. That's an important point with Christianity too. Like,
Yeah.
I could be a Christian, I just couldn't believe in any of the dogma or any of the bullshit in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I could still be a Christian, and I could give myself over and have faith in this God thing that I don't define at all, don't even think on. That I have this like completely nebulous faith in something completely undefinable, right? And I could be a Christian in that manner. And that is all that people want is normal people. That's all they want
Mm-hmm.
is they want the positive effect of it, right? And we
Yeah.
can have that if you understand science. If you apply science to everything first, you go through that Occam's razor of it has to be scientifically backed and physically possible and naturalistic, right? And you can have you can take benefit from all of these spooky things. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can still enjoy the hell out of sitting around a campfire and having somebody tell me a crazy ghost story that
Yeah.
makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, right? I can
Right.
still enjoy that without believing in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
there's a
And I
positive aspect.
I have shared the list around places, and a couple of the responses I've gotten back are things like, "Oh, you're so sad. Your life must be so devoid of wonder." And
No,
I'm like,
just the
dude,
opposite.
no, are you kidding me? My brain is bubbling with questions. I desire to know more. I thirst to know more. I'm not sad at all. I'm ecstatic. I'm gleeful in my ignorance and my desire to abate it. It is lovely.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I have so many mysteries, so many things that spur me on to get up every day and to hit the bed a little bit later because I am pursuing these ends. I'm pursuing this knowledge. And so, if we can make a final point before we close it out, it is that exactly what Mike is saying here. And yes, Mike, you are so cool. And thanks, Robin. I am
Well,
too.
thank you.
And it is that accepting the items on this list does not abate wonder. It does not abate joy. It makes the universe as wonderful and joyful as any other worldview there is. It's all about you. It's what you get out of it. Yes. Never stop learning. Never stop sharpening your wisdom. And thank you so much for joining us for this little exploration. Like, comment, subscribe, support us in all the free ways. Go over to Mike's channel and like and subscribe there. And thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Yep. We're all going to die someday. So,
we're going.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
you are just a little too late, AJ. We're closing it out, but go back and watch it because it was a good one.
Yep.
What's up, Mike?
Oh, I'm going to dye my beard and my hair.
Oh, yeah.
So that because if I appear on Zoom, I can fuzz my wrinkles out.
Oh.
And if I dye because I'm going to start interviewing.
Yeah.
I've got to appear 30 years younger than I am.
There you
I got to work on that. So anyway, I don't want anybody to think I'm doing it for like fucking Steve, what the hell is his name? McRae. He dyed his hair pure black at one point. It was like, and he's got all kinds of issues, but
Robin,
I'm not doing it for vain reason. I'm doing it for practical reason. My natural hair color is light brown to blonde. That's kind of light brown, so it's going to be light brown. And I have to do it. I have to work on it so that it doesn't look like shit.
We'll take the deep question theoretically, and then that's what we'll close out on. If you still want to post it.
Yeah. What is a deep question?
Yeah, I'm interested. You definitely piqued my curiosity.
I know what a deep question is. What is at the bottom of the Marianas Trench?
That's a deep question.
That's a deep question.
All right. Is theism the fundamental difference between idealism, consciousness before physicality, over physicalism, consciousness derived on matter?
I think so.
I would agree.
Yep. Yeah. The whole thing with this point source spirit mind thinking is what leads us into all of these crazy magic categories and
Mhm.
and religions and deities, and the idea that something is going to exist after we quit breathing and using oxygen. But yeah, I think that's very and that's key. And the problem is that we are so stupid yet. I mean, as a species, we aren't that bright, and we're very fooled by our own minds. We
Mhm.
aren't. We have these wonderful minds that are wonderful tools, but we aren't smart enough to understand what it is.
Mhm.
That's our problem, and that becomes that is a source of a whole lot of other bullshit woo problems, and and that's why we're here, Austin. Get rid of the woo.
Yeah. I personally refuse to die until the cult of ignorance, the illiterati, has been fucked back into a coma for at least a decade. I don't think you can actually get rid of them completely, but every now and then they retreat back under the rocks and kind of hide out there for a decade or two, and then they
Right.
come creeping back out and emerge. It's kind of like Pennywise from Stephen King's It. Anyway,
Oh my God. Have you watched Welcome to Derry? Have
it
you
looks
watched
so good.
Welcome?
Don't ruin it for me. I'm gonna
Oh
watch
my
it
God, it is
eventually.
so fucking good. Yeah,
All
you got
right.
to watch it. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Let's say goodbye, cruel world, to the audience and close her out.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Thanks for
See
coming
ya.
by, guys.